Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience on YouTube. Manifest your truth. And if you like this commentary that I've been doing, please hit the like button and the notification, and please share with the people that you would think will find this information informative. And today, or as of yesterday, in Chicago, they just dropped off 7 busloads of migrants. This is turning into an ongoing crisis in Chicago, in New York, in Texas, and in California. But I wanted to particularly and specifically speak about Chicago, being that's where I'm originally from, Chicago and St. Louis. And this is a very disturbing trend that's taking place with the number and the volume of illegal immigrants that are entering these major cities like New York and Chicago, all of California, the borders of Texas. What is the American politicians, the government, going to do about all of these individuals from Mexico, Venezuela? I have no disrespect with immigrants. This country was built on immigrants and immigration. None of us were from here except Native Americans, according to our history books. But it doesn't seem like our government has a specific purpose for what they are going to do. If you look at what's taking place in Texas, there are thousands of immigrants from Venezuela and Mexico that are coming in on a daily basis. And they're putting them on buses and just dropping them off in erroneous cities. There's one city in Texas that has a population of 50,000, and they dropped off 25,000 immigrants in this city. That's half of the population of that particular city. And they don't know what they're going to do. Very few of these individuals are speaking English. Nobody is bringing up that we had a COVID shutdown a few years ago where it shut the entire country down, and none of these immigrants have to be tested for COVID or have to take the vaccine. Now, the American government wanted all of their Americans to take the vaccine, but they're not having these immigrants get vaccinated. So is COVID a real problem? If we have 1 million people coming to this country without the vaccine, and if COVID is a real issue, what do you think is going to take place? From an epidemiology standpoint, we're going to have an epidemic right here in America again. You don't know if these individuals have had malaria shots or any of the other vaccinations that the U.S. citizens have to take. So there can be a deleterious health effect, number one, on all of these migrants entering the United States illegally. And now that they're here, what are we going to do with them? There's going to be a strain on social services. These individuals have to be skilled. Very few of them are speaking any English, so there's a language barrier. And how are we going to get them into the workforce? How are we going to find housing, health care? They're sending migrants to Chicago and New York when it's about to get very, very cold and winter is fastly approaching. So there's going to be a burden on the healthcare system. It's going to be an exponential high rate of individuals going to the emergency room, flu, pneumonia. There's going to be all kinds of common diseases and inflictions on their health because they're not living in a stable environment. They're placing these individuals in tents. It's almost as if America has turned the entire country into Guantanamo Bay. When Fidel Castro, the Cubans, released all of their jails, and we had an agreement to bring refugees from Cuba to America, and look what it did to Miami. Miami went through some very, very troubling times with criminal activity and all of those kinds of harmful things that took place. The movie Scarface in 1983 was based on that. And now America has turned the entire country into Guantanamo Bay. And then there's a high preponderance of males that are coming here, of Venezuelan, Mexican, and Hispanic heritage that don't speak any English. When you're desperate, when you're broke, when you're hungry, what is one of the easiest things to do? Commit crimes. There is going to be a high elevation of criminal activity that's going to take place. Not because these individuals are inherently criminals, but what other vestige do they have? So you're going to see Mexican gangs, the numbers go up in California and in Texas. We're going to see criminal activity, assaults, robberies increase. We're going to see gun violence increase. We're going to see homicides increase. We're going to see sex trafficking and drug trafficking increase. There's already a heavy burden on our employment, our homelessness, our opioid crisis. Mental health is at the top of the mental health paradigm, or the healthcare paradigm. And all of this is going to be exacerbated by President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris allowing all of these immigrants to come into this country, and they don't have a plan. America is barely taking care of their middle class and lower middle class, if at all. The middle class is on the verge of bankruptcy. You look at the UAW strike, you look at the writer strike that we just had to just finalize. There is a heavy burden of unhealthiness that's being placed on our entire system. And this scenario with this migrant crisis is going to get out of control. As I said before, what about COVID? Have these people been vaccinated? What is their health care like? What is the language barrier going to be like? What kind of strain is it going to put on our social services? Where are we going to find these individuals housing? They're putting them in hotels in New York. They're putting them in tent cities in Chicago. Landlords are even cutting deals with the city to where they are placing them in office buildings where people have their businesses. What do you think that's going to happen to the private industry and these individuals that are entrepreneurs who are trying to run a good business? And we have all of this homelessness and these immigrants, illegal immigrants, all over the place. Then we have a safety issue, which is going to hurt the entrepreneurs in the private industry who are having their businesses in these buildings where they're placing these immigrants. None of this sounds like this going into a positive direction. You're starting to see tenants that are suing their landlords because they were not aware that they were subsidizing their buildings to place these migrants. However, and the hypocrisy in America is that the eviction rate and the foreclosure rate and repossession rate of vehicles is going through the roof. Americans are getting evicted from their homes and their apartments on a daily basis. They are getting their cars repossessed, they are losing their jobs, but we're influxing all of these non-workforce migrants into this country. What is the plan? What are we trying to do? Where are we headed? There's a heavy strain on the middle class. This is going to put even an added burden on the middle class, because who's going to take care of these people? Our tax base, our city tax, our state tax, our federal taxes are going to go up as a result of subsidizing all of these migrants. There are going to be millions of individuals that are going to come into this country before we even can blink an eye. So America needs to wake up, and we need to figure something out quick, fast, and in a hurry, or there is going to be civil unrest right here in our own country. I don't know what we should do, but we need to have narratives, and we need to talk about this on YouTube. We need to talk about this publicly. We need to put a heavy burden on our legislators